You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus. Our dear one loves the garden. There is no doubt about it. And it would do many of you a great benefit to take a leaf out of her book, because gardening is not about food production or flower production for that matter. It is about getting out in the natural environment, away from your devices, away from the electrical boxes within which you reside, in the sunlight, in the information, the upgrades, the magnetic forces that are at play outside, the oxygen content of the air, the microbiome that you come in contact with. It is scientifically proven, not just spiritually advised, but scientifically proven that when your hands are in the dirt, you are going to be much, much healthier, because that is how humans are meant to function. They are not meant to function in hermetically sealed boxes surrounded by electricity. That is not how you were created. That is not how your physical forms have evolved. That is not at all how you are meant to live. So when we say garden, that is why. There are 100 things that you are going to have access to in the garden that you are not going to have access to in your office or your living room. So we would say to you, if you are not gardening, make a plan for next year. If you are in the Northern Hemisphere, make a plan to get your hands in the dirt. It doesn't have to be vegetable or fruit gardening. It can be landscaping. It can be, Carol, digging a pond for your fish. It can be anything that has you outside, feet on the ground, breathing in that air, feeling the wind against your skin, feeling the different kinds of temperatures, being in the natural light, having a hummingbird fly around your head and bring you a moment of joy that you would not get if you were inside. So we ask you to seriously contemplate upping your game in terms of being outside. Our dear one's health and longevity is being magnified by the fact that she's outside so often. Throw in a dog that needs 3 walks a day, and this being is outside for 4 or 5 hours every day. And that is a tremendous upgrade, being outside for all of that time. So we want to encourage you to expand, to initiate, to reignite, whatever the word is for you, your gardening as you come into the fall and going into next spring. Obviously, for a lot of you, winter will come and there will be no gardening whatsoever, but you can plan, you can draw up plans, you can order seeds, you can order bulbs, you can do all kinds of things to engage with your natural environment, knowing that that is how humans are supposed to live. So when we look at the transformations that are coming to your planet at this time, one of them is this idea of food scarcity that is being spread around, that is being promoted, that is being initiated by the powers that be. There are places in the world already heading towards famine because of the rules that are being applied to their farming practices, because of the installation of quote unquote green rules. This is indeed a bid for more power, more control, and it is indeed a bid for a lessening of the population. So we have mentioned this before, but we want to mention it again, this idea of having some seeds that you can plant. Many of you, when we have over the years mentioned these ideas of the banks being closed or the grocery stores not having food in them, that all sounded very dramatic and negative. And there were many people who thought, well, that can never happen. What would cause that to happen? But as you are looking around the planet at this time, these things are beginning to happen. However, following on the heels of what we said at the beginning, you getting outside and planting some things or planning to plant things in the spring is a result of some of these transformations. And it is the passive dependency and domestic nature of the world that you live in now that you have become very, very vulnerable to attack in this way. The idea that there will not be enough to go around. There is plenty to go around. The earth and its inhabitants are tremendously creative. The wealth of this planet is generated by human activity. The artists, the farmers, the gardeners, the truckers, the teachers, everybody who's working so hard, this is what brings forth beautiful things, whether it be physically beautiful things such as a painting or a garden, or emotionally and spiritually beautiful things like a ministry, a teaching, a healing practice. This wealth comes from all of you. Do not deceive yourselves. This wealth is generated by you. And if you are if something is being taken away from you by a government or a system, understand that they can only function if you invest your creative abilities in their system. Their system does not have wealth in and of itself. It does not have creativity in and of itself. It is going to use yours. So if you don't like the system, if you don't like what you see happening, turn away from it and get creative. Turn away from it and talk to other people who are turning away from it. And ask yourselves, what can we do together? Can we share our produce? Can I put animals on this property? Can you help me build something? Can you help me with the fences because you've got a skill? How about you build me a fence and I give you some meat from the animals I raise? Whatever it is, get creative. This is how humans functioned before industrialization. There was bartering, there was trading, there was a very, very dynamic environment of commerce and trade and those sorts of things before this megalithic government took over. And that is what you're witnessing. You are witnessing a system that is only seeking to support itself now, and it is taking from everybody to support itself. But we want to remind you what they are taking. They are taking the fruits of your labor. They are taking the creativity that you are generating from deep within your soul. And unless you give it to them voluntarily, they can't access it. So we want to remind you of this so that you feel empowered, so that you feel excited about the future and not terrified about the future, so that you start to talk to other people, so that you start to generate ideas, communities, these kinds of things. It's very, very important that you understand where the wealth is truly coming from and where the power is truly coming from. These systems use your power. That is why they are so deeply entrenched in propaganda. That is why they are so deeply committed to making you do things, because that's the only way they can access energy, is through your producing of it. So that's what we want to remind you of today. We want to remind you of your innate desire for freedom, your innate desire for creativity, and your innate loving nature. Love is life. Life is love. When you want to live a full and productive and happy and joyous and purposeful life, you are in love with what is. And that is really God's will for you. To be happy, to be productive, to be creative, to be lifted up by your own inner world, lifted up by inspiration from your guides and teachers, lifted up by source energy pulsating through your body. Many of you have shut down aspects of yourself through fear or repression or control from a seemingly outside source, but you can only do that if you agree with that outside source. Repression is done by you. Control is done by you. Conformity is done by you. You have free will. You have the ability to choose. If you find yourself in a system or a situation where you don't feel as if you have free will, begin to exert your free will in the sense of choosing to align with things that you love more frequently than choosing to align with things that you do not enjoy. All of you have something on your plate that you do not enjoy. And it is time now to say, well, that's not for me. It may still need to be done. It may mean that you have to hire someone to do it, or you have to talk to another family member to get the chores spread out more evenly, perhaps, or trade a chore. Perhaps if you enjoy mowing the lawn but don't enjoy doing the dishes, and you're doing the dishes and someone else in the house is mowing the lawn, perhaps you can negotiate a change so that they get to do something else Not always easy when you've got to everybody wanting to go on the riding lawnmower and enjoy themselves outside. But you get our point. You do not have to suffer and sacrifice yourself on the altar of conformity. And it can be as simple as deciding that you don't want to sit and watch television with your partner. It can be as small as deciding that you'd like to change your vehicle because this one doesn't suit you. Your partner may not agree, but you have the right as a free being to decide, well, if I can afford it and I've got the wherewithal to do it, I actually would prefer to be driving around in something else. It may be that you have a sedan and you'd like a pickup truck so you can get bales of hay for your garden. Whatever it is, begin to say, it's okay. It's okay for me to want to tweak my life so that it becomes better and better and better. And once you do that, once you start to let go of those things that are taking you down the lower frequency path, then more and more and more good things will come your way, because you are the creator, you are the projector, you are the manufacturer of all of your experiences. And as you get up each morning with eager anticipation for what is coming, that is the sign that you are on track. If you get up each morning overwhelmed and negative about what's coming your way in the day, then you need to make some tweaks. You need to start looking at that and understand that the future of your planet depends on you having a higher frequency. This is not to make you feel guilty if you don't. The point of the whole conversation here is to inspire you to do what you love, to inspire you to get to the point at the end of the day where you're tired and happy, not tired and depressed or resentful, but tired and happy. You've done a bunch of things that you've liked. You've had some conversations with good people. You've done some service work. You've worked on your garden. You've taken your dog for a walk. You've had who knows what you've had. But at the end of the day, you say, that was a day well spent. I am happy. And that is God's will for you. It is your right. It is your natural inheritance to feel that way every day. And if you don't, you have created your life. You have chosen certain things. You have committed to certain things. Perhaps inappropriately, but perhaps you committed to something 20 years ago that no longer suits you, and it's time to renegotiate that commitment. So we want to encourage you to look forward to tomorrow. We want to encourage you to appreciate and revel in everything you do today that is good for you and that you enjoy, and understand that life is to be lived this way. That is your natural inheritance. It is not designed to be suffering and drudgery. That is an illusion. It is not designed to be that way. The teachings in your mind lead you down that path. The family indoctrinations and religious indoctrinations lead you down that path. But God's will for you is happiness, and we will speak to you shortly. Yay, happiness.